Hello everyone, welcome to Nina Ribena's Art Journal Prompts 2019. It's week one and I know that lots of you are raring to go, and I also know that there's a lot of anticipation about what we're going to be doing this year, so let me fill you in and explain. I absolutely loved the way we did things last year, 2018, where we had the monthly prompt and then I set weekly challenges. So I want to keep that theme going, but I do want to structure it slightly differently. So each month we will have a prompt. The prompt this month, for instance, is words. Because I know that a lot of you like doing your word of the year, so I've got lots of ideas as to how we can use that for the whole of the month, and I'll talk more about that a bit later. But we're going to structure things slightly differently. As I say, we'll have a monthly prompt, but then we'll have different things that we'll be doing each week that will be the same each week throughout the year. So for instance, week one of the month, we will be working on a mood board. This is the mood board that we're going to be working on this week. This was a mood board that Elaine Gardner, one of the admins in the group, came up with. We talked about this last year. It was one of her ideas and she put some ideas together for me, and I just loved it so much and found it so inspiring that I've decided we'll do it on a monthly basis. So week one each month we'll be working on a mood board. So as I say, this is the mood board but that we're working on this month, and I don't want anybody to fret and panic over this. I know that some of you will get it straight away and others won't have a clue how you can interpret it, but I promise you, please don't panic. It will become easier, and I'll explain more about the mood boards when we start the video. Week two each month is going to be called Junk It Up, and we're going to be using pieces of junk that we can alter and just have fun with. This was Helen Spedding-Lowe's idea, another one of the admins in the Facebook group. So week two, Junk It Up, and the idea is that we can take things like plastic packaging, tags that come off our clothing, and just alter them, tins, all of that kind of thing. I've got lots of ideas. I mean, let me just put this to one side for a moment. These were just a few junk pieces that I grabbed today. This was a tin of biscuits, butter cookies that were left over from Christmas. Sam has already scavenged the lot. We could alter that. We could do something with old tea bags. That's a label from clothing. This is another piece of packaging from Amaretti biscuits left over from Christmas. This was an ASOS advice label that came in the mail. Sam had ordered a t-shirt, in fact the t-shirt that tag came off, and I just loved the black and white pattern on this. So another piece of scrap. More labels from clothing. There we go. This was something that Alex ordered, and this flyer came in with his package, and I just thought that was too nice to throw away. This had a voucher inside it, and this is just an old paper bag. So that is just a few ideas, and I know that lots of you have got things that you can grab to do a scrap related project. Week three, let me just put this here so that you've got something to look at rather than my empty desk. Week three will be the calendar page. I wasn't sure whether I was going to continue with the calendar page this year, but I know that lots of you have been asking if we will still continue to do it, and lots of you have already raced out and purchased your 2019 calendar ready to get starting. So we will be continuing with the calendar page. I'll also give alternative options as well for those who are not interested in following along with that. Then week four will be use your scraps. Let me just grab another bin of scraps. When I asked you back in September or October what you would like to do for 2019, asking for your ideas and what you would like to participate in. Scrap projects was one of the things that was mentioned the most, so we will do a regular use your scrapped project on week 4, and the idea being that we can either create a journal or just do loose leaf pages. It's open to your interpretation here, but the idea is that we end up with a journal at the end of the year full of all these bits and pieces of scraps that we all hoard onto. So, let's get them out of our drawers and off our desks and do something with them. So week 4 will be use your scraps. And on the occasion that we end up with a 5-week month, then it will just be a free-for-all. It can just be whatever you want to create. So it won't be prompt related for week 5. You can just literally do anything. So that's how the format is going to take shape for 2019. Now, this is important. When you've completed your project and you're ready to post it in the Facebook group, you must clearly state which prompt you're following. So for instance, this month's prompt is words. And you must state which challenge you're working on as well. So week 1, week 2, week 3, etc., etc. And I don't want anybody jumping ahead either, because you now know what we're going to be doing each week and we've got a clear plan. I don't want people posting their week 3 calendar page in week 1 or 2, for instance. You mustn't jump ahead of the game. Now, if you're slow at doing this and you only complete your mood board page in week 3 or 4, then that's fine. It's just that I don't want people jumping ahead. So clearly mark what you're working on in the description box. So for instance, it could be words week 1 mood board, or words week 3 calendar page, etc., etc., just so that we know. But it must be, as I say, ninaribena prompt related. Any other random things that get posted in the Facebook group will get deleted. It is just stuff that's related to my YouTube channel. Now, I also know that there are those of you that follow along with my YouTube videos but don't do Facebook, but some of you still want to share your projects with me. So if you use hashtag ninaribena, now I know that some of you have got your own YouTube channels and you follow along with my projects, use hashtag ninaribena, and then I'm more likely to see it. You can also put that in your title as well on your YouTube videos, or Instagram. There are a lot of you that follow along on Instagram that don't do Facebook, and again, just use hashtag ninaribena. I know that in 2018 some people were using hashtag ninaribena art journal prompts and more. That to me is just a bit of a mouthful. Let's make it easier on ourselves. Hashtag ninaribena. So let's have a look at this week's mood board. So let's talk about the mood board for a second. You don't have to use every image on the mood board for inspiration. I've mainly used the top 2 and the bottom left one, and you'll see where the inspiration has come from as I go along. I'm working on a large wooden tag. I'll leave the measurements in the box below on screen for you, but you can see that I'm using 2 similar shades of blue to the one in the second picture. And that to me looked as if it was an old garage door with an old padlock on it, and so I'm trying to recreate that look with these 2 colours. I want sort of like a peeled paint aged look to my background, and so I'm applying the paint with this palette knife. It's going to take a couple of colours as well, because I haven't bothered to pre-gesso my tag. I didn't see that there was any need to, but I just love the peeled paint look that I'm starting to achieve, and I just keep dragging that palette knife sort of down the tag, and then I've dried a layer before I sort of come in with my second layer. I continued building up the layers in my background, and I'm happy with that now, and I just want to add some detail using some stamping. I'm using the white Dilutions spray to add some jumbled letters. This is another Dilutions stencil, and the inspiration from this has come from the box of wooden jumbled letters, the first picture on the mood board, and the white you could say is inspired by the 4th picture, the colours in the sea themed photograph, but I'm just tapping this on opting for that grungy look. Now I want to make myself a template, so I've grabbed another tag and I'm just drawing around it just so that I've got the same size and shape to work with. And I want to create a door and I want a mask and a stencil to use. So I'm just drawing my door now, and I fiddle around with this until I'm happy with the overall shape. I do bring in a ruler, which I don't show you, just so that my edges are straight, and play around with that arch, and then I'm just going to cut it out. Now I'm just using a repositional glue stick to attach the door to my tag. I just want to cover that area up so that I can work on the background, and the repositional glue stick just allows me to remove that after I've finished. So I bring in a dark blue, midnight blue stamp pad. This is a stays on permanent stamp pad, and I'm just using one of the Dilutions background stamps just to add a bit more detail to the background of my tag. Now this reminds me of bricks, and of course that's inspired by the fact that this is an old structure with a door. And then I'm repeating the process using a white stamp pad as well, and I'm just building up layers in that background. And then I want to introduce some colour to my background, and the inspiration for these colours was taken from the third picture, which of course was that pink flower. So I'm using the bright pink and a lighter pink to replicate the colours in that flower. And again, I'm using one of the Dilutions background stamps. I think this is Jumbled Letters, this one's called, and just building up the layers in my background. And I just love what that pop of pink does to my tag. It's just gorgeous. And of course I don't want to waste any of that leftover paint, so you can see here that I've been mopping up on a scrap of mixed media paper. Now before I take the mask off, I'm happy with the background now, but I just want to frame the door. So I'm using a Neo Colour 2 in black, and I just go all around the edge of the mask and then just smudge it with my finger. And I think I end up doing this 3 times just to get the darkness that I'm after. Just one layer just wasn't quite enough. And now I want to work on the door itself, so I bring back my repositional glue and I attach the frame to the tag just so that I can mask off the background and just work on the door. And so I want to use some antiquing polish just to give this a grungy look. Now of course, because I've used Dilutions, which are water soluble, I lose all of the white graffiti there, the jumbled letter stenciling that I did, but that's absolutely fine. I can re-add that later if I want to. So I just add some of that antiquing wax with a baby wipe and just smudge it all over the door, and then I'm drying in between as well, just so that I can just build up those layers and achieve the darkness that I'm happy with. I don't want anybody getting hung up on the materials that I use. You are not going to have the exact same materials as me. Just improvise, use what you have if you ever want to achieve this kind of look. You could easily use distress inks or watered down brown paint to achieve a very similar effect. I want to add a keyhole to my door, and I've got a pack of brass embellishments that I picked up from the works a long time ago. I think they were £1.50 for a set, including a couple of escutcheons and a couple of keys. They're actually brads, and I'm just grunging it up slightly using that black Neo colour and some treasure gold. And I'm just gluing the keyhole down with some glossy accents. It's nice and strong and so should hold it firmly in place. I'm just using the Neocolor 2 crayon again, just to add a border to my tag. Again, it takes a couple of layers just to build up the depth that I'm happy with. And then I want to work on adding a bit of graffiti to the door, just to tie that pink in with the background. So using the same 2 colours of pink and using the jumbled letters stamp from Dilutions, just to add a touch to my door. I also want to add a key to my tag. Again, this is inspired by the second picture, the picture with the door and the padlock, but I want to grunge this key up. It looks too new, so I'm just using some black gesso. You could use black paint if you ever want to do this kind of thing. So I add some black gesso. I'm not covering the whole of the key, just adding a touch of it, and then also adding some treasure gold again as well, just to age the look of that key. And I couldn't resist adding a touch of treasure gold to the door itself as well, just because I just love treasure gold. Now I've chosen a few words for 2019, and for this particular piece I'm using the word unlock. And unlock your creativity, unlock your fear. Sometimes we're just so frightened to try things for fear of failure. So unlock to me just seemed really appropriate. Now I'm using some Thickers stickers that I've had in my stash since forever, and I'm using some of the Seth Apter embossing powder to cover them up. This is in the patina. I've forgotten exactly what it's called. I'll leave it on the screen for you. So I'm just going over with an embossing ink pad and the embossing powder just to change the look of those Thickers stickers. And the Thickers stickers were inspired by the first picture because the title on those jumbled letters was large wood letters, and this is the nearest I had. And I think, you know, the style of the typeface is fairly similar too. So I play around with the positioning of my word unlock, and as soon as I'm happy with that, I use some PVA glue just to stick them down. This is just PVA glue that I've decanted into a fine tip nozzle bottle. I want to add some twine to my tag now to suspend the key and as a hanger so that I can hang it on my wall. And I just want to grunge the string up a bit. So I'm using 2 colours of Distress ink, Frayed Burlap and Vintage Photo, just to grunge that twine up a bit. Then I decide to add some of the Neocolor 2 in black as well, just to grunge it up a little bit more. I just double my string over a couple of times just to thicken and shorten it, and then I'm just poking it through the hole and looping it through just so that I've got a hanger for my tag. And then to attach my key, I'm using an old brass jump ring that again I've just added some black gesso to and some of the treasure gold. And so I'm just going to attach my key now, so twisting that jump ring sideways. And of course then I realised that I've looped my string through the wrong way. The loop to attach the jump ring to is on the wrong side. So I just undo it and do it again. And that completes my tag. So here's my finished tag. I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with this, and I shall be hanging this on my wall. I love the colours I've used. I love the embellishments, the words, everything about this. I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with this. So hopefully that's given you more of an idea as how to interpret the mood board. So just to recap what we're doing this week, the prompt for the month is words, because I know that a lot of you like to do your word of the year. I haven't got one particular word. I'm not going to get hung up on that. So I've got a couple that spring to mind that I'll be using throughout the month. So the challenge this week is to use the mood board for inspiration, and I'll leave a clip of that at the end of the video as well so that you can take a screenshot. Now I just want to show you this as well. I have already amassed a mountain of scraps that I'll be able to use for week 4, which is the use your scraps prompt. So let me just talk you through what I've got. I've got various baby wipes that I was using to mop up both my desk and my glass board that I was using as a palette. So I've got those. I've also got mop-up papers, various pieces of mop-up paper that you could see me during the video as well using to mop up the excess. I quite like that as well. That's just a piece of grease-proof paper that I was using to emboss my words. I've got the template. I've also got this because my tag started off as an art journal page. My first idea was an art journal page, and halfway through I suddenly decided, I got the idea for the door, and I started again and decided to go for a tag because I wanted something narrower to work on. My art journal page was just too wide, but I started off by doing the background on a large piece of mixed media paper. I used the same method as you can see, but I used a Bolzer Designs stencil with some keys and things on. And then I, as I say, I changed my mind. That was the key stencil that I used. So I've got those that I can use going forward, and a couple of extra mop-up pieces of paper as well. So plenty to get going on with for week 4. And this is why we end up in such a mess in our craft room, isn't it? Because if I can accumulate this just after one project, imagine what you end up with in a year. So I am determined to find a way for us to, stop cluttering our spaces up with all of these scraps and actually get them into some kind of journal. So I hope you like today's project. As I say, I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with that. And as always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up if you did, because it just lets YouTube know that you like what I'm doing. Let me know what you think in the comments below as well, both in terms of the tag today and the ideas going forward for 2019. And I will be back next week for the Junk It Up challenge. So take care everyone, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.